There are moments when someone says something that instantly ignites something inside you. A comment that feels unfair, a tone that carries disrespect, a situation that pushes exactly on the place where your patience is already thin. In that instant, your mind begins to move quickly. Words begin forming. Emotions rise. Your heart feels the pressure to respond immediately, as if silence would somehow mean weakness. Most people react right there. They answer quickly. They defend themselves. They release whatever emotion was triggered in that moment. It feels justified because the situation appears clear. Someone said something wrong. Someone crossed a line. Someone tried to provoke you. But there is a deeper truth many people only realize after painful experience. Not every moment that demands your reaction deserves your reaction. Sometimes what looks like a simple disagreement is actually something more complex. Sometimes a situation is not truly about the words that were spoken. Sometimes it is about the reaction someone is hoping to pull out of you. The moment you respond emotionally, the moment you lose clarity, the moment you allow the situation to control your peace. And that is where wisdom becomes different from impulse. A wise heart learns to pause, not because it is weak, not because it has nothing to say, but because it understands that reacting immediately often hands control of the situation to the very thing trying to disturb your peace. Think about it carefully. How many conflicts in life escalated simply because two people reacted faster than they reflected? How many relationships were damaged because words spoken in seconds could not be taken back? How many moments created regret simply because emotions moved faster than discernment? This message is not about silence for the sake of avoidance. It is about something deeper. It is about recognizing when a moment is testing your emotional control. It is about learning when calmness protects you more than reaction ever could. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do in a situation that tries to provoke you is this: you do not react. And when you choose that path, something surprising begins to happen. The situation starts revealing things you would have never seen if you had reacted immediately. That is where understanding begins. The moment you almost reacted. You know the moment. It arrives without warning. Someone says something that lands harder than expected. A message appears that carries tension between the lines. A conversation shifts in a direction that suddenly feels uncomfortable. In seconds, your mind begins interpreting everything. Every word feels sharper. Every detail seems personal. Your body reacts before your thoughts fully form. Your heart beats faster. Your emotions rise. Your mind begins preparing a response that feels necessary. It feels as if you must answer immediately, as if silence would allow the situation to control you. But pause for a moment and consider something. That instant when you feel the strongest urge to react is often the exact moment where your reaction is being invited. Some people know how to provoke emotions. They understand that if they can disturb your calm, they can change the entire direction of the conversation. The moment you respond with frustration or anger, the situation shifts. Your clarity disappears and the focus moves away from truth and toward emotional conflict. That is why the moment you almost reacted carries so much importance. Inside that small window between the event and your response, there is something powerful. There is awareness. There is discernment. There is the quiet opportunity to step back and observe instead of immediately responding. Most people never notice that window. They move straight from emotion to reaction without realizing there was another path available. But the people who develop deep wisdom learn something different. They learn to recognize that moment. They feel the emotion rising. They notice the urge to react. Yet instead of allowing that impulse to take control, they pause. They allow the moment to breathe before they decide how they will respond. And in that pause, something extraordinary happens. The situation begins revealing its true nature. Why some situations are designed to provoke you. There are moments when a situation appears simple on the surface, yet something about it feels strangely intense. The words may not seem severe, the event may appear small, yet your emotions respond as if something deeper has been touched. That is often the first sign that the situation is not truly about the moment itself. Some situations are built around provocation, not always intentionally, and not always with obvious hostility. Sometimes people project their frustrations onto others. Sometimes someone carries insecurity and releases it through criticism. Sometimes a person seeks control by disturbing the calm of someone else. When this happens, the goal is rarely resolution. The goal becomes reaction. Think about how quickly tension can spread when emotions begin to move faster than understanding. One reaction invites another reaction. A small comment becomes a larger conflict. What began as a simple moment suddenly grows into something that affects hours, days, sometimes even relationships. This is why emotional provocation can be so powerful. When someone manages to pull you into reaction, they no longer have to face their own emotions. The focus shifts away from truth and moves toward the conflict itself. The situation becomes louder, more confusing, and clarity disappears. Wisdom begins when you learn to recognize these patterns. A calm mind notices when something is trying to disturb your peace. A discerning heart understands when a moment is asking for patience instead of response. Instead of reacting immediately, you begin observing the situation carefully. You notice tone, intention, timing, and energy. And suddenly, something becomes visible that was hidden before. Many conflicts are not actually seeking resolution. They are seeking participation. They invite you into an emotional storm where clarity disappears and reaction becomes the only language spoken. But when you refuse to enter that storm, something powerful happens. The situation begins revealing itself. People show their true intentions more clearly when they do not receive the reaction they expected. Patterns become visible. Motivations become easier to understand. What once felt confusing begins to make sense. And this realization opens the door to the next level of wisdom. Because once you understand how provocation works, you begin to see why reacting too quickly often carries a hidden cost. The hidden cost of reacting too fast. When a person reacts too quickly, something important is often lost. Clarity disappears. The mind shifts from understanding to defending. Emotions begin leading the conversation instead of wisdom guiding it. In that moment, the reaction may feel justified, yet the outcome rarely brings peace. Fast reactions carry consequences that are not always visible at first. Words spoken in emotional intensity often travel further than intended. A sentence said in frustration can echo long after the moment has passed. A reaction meant to defend your dignity may accidentally create distance where understanding could have existed. This is why emotional reactions can quietly give away your power. The moment someone provokes you and receives the response they expected, the balance of the situation changes. Your emotions become the center of the moment. Your calm disappears, and the conversation no longer moves toward truth. It moves toward conflict. Many people later look back at these moments and wish they had paused, not because they were wrong about what they felt, but because reacting instantly prevented them from responding wisely. Emotion can recognize that something is wrong, yet wisdom determines how the moment should be handled. There is a difference between reacting and responding. Reaction is immediate. It is driven by emotion and instinct. Response comes from reflection. It arrives after the mind has taken time to see the situation clearly. People who grow in discernment begin learning how valuable that difference is. They begin noticing that the moment they slow down, everything changes. The situation becomes easier to read. Intentions become clearer. What once felt urgent begins to look different when seen from a calmer perspective. And in that quiet pause, another truth becomes visible. Between the moment something happens and the moment you respond, there exists a space. That space is where wisdom lives. The power of the pause. Between what happens and how you respond, there is a small space that most people never notice. It exists for only a moment, yet inside that moment lives something powerful. The ability to pause. When emotions rise quickly, the mind begins pushing for immediate action. It tells you that you must answer now, that you must defend yourself now. That silence means losing control of the situation. But this urgency is often an illusion created by emotion. A pause changes everything. The moment you allow yourself to breathe instead of react, the intensity of the situation begins to shift. The emotions that were pushing you forward begin losing their grip. Your mind starts seeing details that were invisible just seconds earlier. You notice the tone behind the words. You notice whether the moment deserves your energy at all. You notice whether the situation is asking for wisdom instead of reaction. This pause protects more than your peace. It protects your judgment. Many conflicts grow not because the situation was severe, but because two people reacted without reflection. One reaction triggers another. Each response becomes stronger than the last. Before anyone realizes what happened, the moment has already turned into something larger than it needed to be. But when one person pauses, the pattern breaks. The calm presence of someone who refuses to react impulsively changes the entire direction of a situation. The tension loses its momentum. The energy of conflict no longer finds something to feed on, and something else begins to appear in that quiet moment. Discernment. Discernment allows you to see beyond the surface of what is happening. It allows you to understand whether the moment requires a response, silence, patience, or simply distance. The pause creates the space where this understanding becomes possible. And once you begin experiencing the power of that pause, another realization begins forming quietly in your mind. Not every conflict in front of you actually belongs to you. Not every battle is yours. There are moments when a situation appears to demand your attention, your voice, your reaction. Someone says something directed at you. A conflict forms around you. Words begin circulating that seem to invite you into the center of the tension. It feels natural to step in. After all, your name was mentioned. Your character was questioned. Your presence was involved. Everything about the moment suggests that you must defend yourself, that you must answer, that you must prove something. But wisdom begins asking a different question. Is this truly my battle? Many situations in life are not actually about you, even when they appear to be. They are reflections of someone else's frustration, someone else's insecurity, someone else's need to create movement where they feel powerless. When a person carries inner conflict, they often look for a place to release it. Sometimes that place becomes another person who simply happened to be present at the moment the emotion needed an outlet. If you react to every situation that touches your life, you allow the emotional storms of others to control your peace. Every disagreement becomes your responsibility. Every accusation becomes something you must fight. Every misunderstanding becomes a conflict that demands your energy. And slowly, your peace begins to disappear. But the moment you understand that not every battle belongs to you, your perspective changes. You begin observing instead of rushing forward. You begin asking whether the situation truly requires your involvement or whether silence would protect your energy. You begin recognizing that stepping away from unnecessary conflict is not weakness. It is wisdom. Strong people are not the ones who fight every battle placed in front of them. Strong people are the ones who know which battles are worth their strength. And once you learn that difference, another powerful truth begins to reveal itself. Sometimes the most powerful response in a moment of conflict is silence. When silence becomes strength, there are moments when silence feels uncomfortable. Someone says something unfair, and every part of you wants to answer. A situation unfolds that invites confrontation, and the expectation in the room seems clear. Speak. Defend yourself. Prove your point. Yet silence carries a strength that many people misunderstand. Silence is not always the absence of courage. Often, it is the presence of control. It is the ability to stand in a moment without allowing the pressure around you to dictate your behavior. When someone expects you to react and you remain calm, the entire energy of the situation changes. The person who hoped to provoke a reaction suddenly faces something unexpected. Instead of emotional resistance, they encounter stillness. That stillness reveals more than words ever could. People often expose their intentions when they do not receive the response they were hoping for. A person seeking conflict becomes louder when calmness remains in front of them. A person seeking attention becomes restless when silence refuses to feed the moment. In that quiet space, truth begins to appear. Silence also protects your dignity. When emotions run high, words often leave the mouth before wisdom has the chance to guide them. Silence gives wisdom time to breathe. It prevents moments that could later become regret. There is also another reason silence carries strength. It shows that your peace is not easily controlled by the actions of others. It shows that your emotions belong to you, not to the situation someone tried to create. When you remain calm in a moment that expected your reaction, you quietly reclaim control of your own presence. And when a person learns to carry that kind of calm, something deeper begins to develop inside them. because emotional control is not only about staying quiet, it is about understanding the power that calmness reveals.